You're listening to P&P Pals Tabletop Role-playing Radio Theatre. We're taking a bit of a break today for a short segment called Insight Check. Please, let me tell you a story about some maps. My maps. Dungeons & Dragons was introduced to me as a comprehensive set of rules for playing pretend. I was up for that immediately. To that point in my happy, goofy childhood, I had played pretend for incalculable hours. I was basically a pretend professional, and over my career had witnessed several academies of witchcraft and wizardry fall to argument or disorder. D&D has, rules and shit, though, and they fixed pretend straight away. In my youth, I didn't have many video or computer games. My family didn't prohibit them exactly, they just never bought them. It's easy to forget this because of the ubiquity of gaming technology around me, but getting even old games running was an involved, expensive process. You need a TV, the console, each individual game, plus some other stuff. Hang on, I had something in my head and it fell out. Oh, electricity. Almost forgot electricity. As introduced to me, D&D needed only 3 things: rulebooks, dice, and a map grid. Books, dice, and grids, between my childhood birthday relief fund and good grade stipends, I could afford those. As an adult, I've got probably too much entertainment to choose from. I've played other tabletop RPGs too, but as a child, D&D was the only game in town, and it was absolutely perfect. My first game of D&D used 3.5. None of us had played before, but it was a blast anyway. Actually, it was probably because we hadn't played before. I think we got caught up on a fish for way too long. Fun fact, I still talk to the DM sometimes every day. We gathered at my house. I cleared a small round table, then covered it with a burgundy tablecloth. We laid out books and dice and character tokens made from cork, I think. Was that then? That might be some historical revisionism. We used painted wine corks as figures eventually. We began our adventure and a world unfolded across the table. In the dark, we peered around corners, scouting the path ahead. The map grid was slowly revealed, its perils sorted. I don't actually recall much of what happened.
Do you want a synopsis?
Not especially.
Great. A pair of guards had been knocked out and taken hostage by some goblins. The trick was that there was no greater plan, no ransom attempt. They encountered them accidentally and took them back to their home because they didn't know what else to do with 2 KO'd humans.
I think someone used cleave once. It was great, because it killed a couple goblins in half.
I can see now that it's a real shame we didn't get to the moral of that particular story.
Are you done?
Yeah. I mean, for right now, yeah.
Whoa, sorry. I didn't know I wasn't done. Okay. All that bullshit aside, since that day, I've had a fascination with the maps of D&D. I cannot let them go. Over the years, I have grown to realize, much to my disappointment, that the map is not the point. Far from one of the 3 material pillars of play, a map is unnecessary in many cases and outright damaging in others. An honorable DM knows where things are and doesn't move shit around unnecessarily. Many encounters can be resolved in the old theater of the mind. Staring at a map I'm drafting right now, I hate to admit it, but it may even be better for storytelling. Without a map to lean on, everyone has to stay involved and actively envision what's going on. Or, pick at their phones and not get invited back. Hey, who wrote this line?
Get off your phone!
It would take at least a few segments to cover the topic, but know this. We played 4E all through college. That's a big reason why I'm so attached to my maps. When Rosma stopped using them in 5th, it was confounding. Accustomed to worrying over the details of a grid, I looked at my spells and thought, But how do I know that they're working? How do I know they're impacting a real livable space? I got used to it because my DM never lied to me.
That she knows about. Shh.
Things flow better now. Encounter setup is faster, everyone is engaged, and it allows for the occasional colorful improvisation from everyone, both DM and party. And that's where this episode... No. You know what? Hell no. That sounded like a conclusion, but it's not. Even knowing all that, I cannot help myself. DMing over voice chat for a group spread over 3 states, I still create maps on our digital tabletop, then slowly roll back the fog of war. Why? I am the arbiter of this realm, so... They don't love you like I love you, maps. Wait, they don't love you like I love you. Ignore that nonsense from before. There are definite advantages to using a grid. Even in the 5e theater of the mind, complex fights with lots of enemies and mounts and terrain features, crazy encounters with 3 sides fighting over Maiden MacGuffin, dramatic chases dodging traffic to keep up the pursuit. Those deserve maps. Beautiful, beautiful maps. When covering a lot of ground or managing a lot of units, it quickly becomes unreasonable for people to hold all of the details in their heads. As a DM, I want my players to feel challenged by each scenario, not the memorization or visualization of each scenario. Often, the map necessity index is married to the strength of the enemies or the danger of the environment facing the party. Making a map available before your mid-boss rips the party a new one is a kindness. If the lava is ever in play, a map is a kindness. On the flip side, there can be skirmishes in narrow hallways or other modest spaces. For these, maps maybe aren't needed to answer these essential questions. Who can I see? How far away are they? What are they doing? Is anything between us? Can my familiar grant me advantage? Of course they can. That's not even a question. If you can keep track of that, then ditch the map. Wait, they don't love you like I love you. Maps. Rosma urged me to try playing without maps, the actual bastard. Getting used to describing encounters without a grid was difficult at first, so I cheated. Just a little. I continued to make maps for the encounters, but kept them from my players. That crutch really helped me get a feel for how to deliver the most important information. With the party in comparative darkness, they'd ask questions which helped to narrow my focus. I try to answer the common ones preemptively, constantly presenting information on visibility, proximity, combatants, and terrain. If I hadn't learned how to play this way, I wouldn't have thought to start the Google Doc that became Pen&P Pals. The ability to play by post there seemingly hinges on doing without maps. It really does make an already versatile system more live. If I really think about it, playing by post without a battle map is something I do in the same spirit as when I first found D&D. It only takes some PDFs and a couple of free apps. I still try to use real dice, though. I've even run encounters with just my phone. It was a little clumsy, but I got through it, and it was way better than whatever down-in-the-dumps nonsense I was waiting around for. I know it sounds like we keep coming to the conclusion, but you can just take that feeling and shove it in an upsetting mapless bin. Because you know what benefits from a battle map? Army scale conflict. Because of the complexity and the scale. In regards to P&P Pals, I haven't had to resort to a battle map yet. However, the party is headed toward a war front with aspirations for large-scale combat. And I want to deliver. All these kind words about playing without a map? Lies. Foolish half-truths. I'm going to make so many JPEGs with numbered grids and color-coded terrain indication. I know I said before that P&P Pals started modestly in Google Docs, but you know what? Rosma's got to open Roll20 to get his character sheets anyway. Adding a map or 20 isn't going to hurt him any. I'm going to make height maps for my maps. Seriously now, I love the grid, the battle map, topographical overviews, but there's strength and flexibility. I feel good about my decision not to resort to maps for P&P Pals' small-scale scenes. I'm also looking forward to having to draw out a countryside under siege.
That's fucked up, man.
And finally, I hope I'll always feel the wonder that comes with sitting around a table scanning a grid with friends. That's today's Insight Check. This was a topic near to my crisply folded, well-graphed heart. If you have a question you'd like answered, ask below or find our social media. Keep in mind, however, P&P Pals is a game and a narrative. There are some things we can't know ahead of time and some things we're keeping secret until they come out as part of a story. The music for our intro was composed by Walker Williams. We have links to him and his work in the description. This show is produced by Precarious at best and heard by you. See you around, curious traveler.